All right, we're live.
Okay, thank you, Patrick.
Yep.
Okay, we will begin. Dave, are there any additions to the agenda?
I have none.
Okay. Then is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I motion to approve it as written.
Thank you, Rita. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jennifer. And we will do a roll call vote on the approval of the agenda. Craig?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Rita?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
I got to put the whole turkey that
And I approve as well. Next, we will go to the review of the June minutes. Hopefully you had a chance to look them over. Were there any other corrections? Any corrections that anyone noted?
I wanted to suggest one very small correction on the under the golf report where it says Aldrich commented, and I would like to insert the words, strike the word on and insert the words that he had seen 3 or 4 of. So it'll read 3 or 4 of the new signs installed by the county.
I got that, Steve. So it'll read, Aldrich commented on seeing 3 out of 4 of the new signs installed by the county.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other corrections noted? Is there a motion to approve the agenda with that change?
So moved as amended.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Rita. Roll call. Craig?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Rita?
Aye.
Steve?
Did I say aye already?
Yeah, you said aye.
Okay.
And aye. All righty. So we are on to, do we want to have Justin go change the order at all, do you think?
I'm fine with that, Sally. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul doesn't mind waiting. Paul, you all right with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So then let's go to the special event application that we received from Justin for the Marais Great Harbor Race.
I just had one question about what time of day will these be done on the 1st and 2nd, and will noise be an issue?
Times permitted are from noon till 5. Noise was not an issue last year, so I do not seeing it being an issue this year.
Justin,
If
you
it's
gonna
over at
pretty
5, I
much,
see no problem.
Pardon
Rita?
me?
I was just saying, Justin, is it gonna be basically exactly like last year, safety precautions, everything the same?
Safety precaution wise, we've stepped it up a little bit. We've built a couple of boats that are actually made to pick snowmobiles up and out of the water quicker and faster. We have 4 boats total to pick snowmobiles out of the water this year. We'll probably only use 2, but we made 2 extra ones just in case. Otherwise, nothing about the event is any different than last year, except for we will have a few more snowmobiles this year.
Now, I watched it last year. It was awesome. I had one concern that when they came up on the shore, on the rocks, the snowmobiles were actually shooting the rocks at people. Is there a way to avoid that?
I've talked to the snowmobile guys, and we are gonna make we'll call it a leave the beach point, and we will call it a landing spot on the beach, farther down the beach. Otherwise, I have strongly encouraged all riders to skip the quick hop from shore to shore and just go for the big loop. And if they sink it, then we'll just get it out of the water rather than, like you say, go on the beach, shoot the rocks back, yada, yada. We will set up a second area this year farther down the beach with like cones and caution tape for them to land in if they need to. That way nobody stands there or in the area.
That's a good idea.
Are there other questions for Justin? Would any?
I gotta step.
Go ahead.
I've got a few things, Sally. So I've been researching this from the state's perspective. You know, we're still under the stay safe order that Governor Walz issued in early June. And the order itself calls for no outdoor event. And so I'm simply reading from the order right now. Outdoor event and entertainment settings like sporting events, concerts, and theaters must not exceed 250 people.
Yep.
That's true.
And
how do we
what are we estimating this crowd at?
To be honest, that's one thing that I have no idea. Being the only technical event on the North Shore for the summer, to be completely honest, I'm probably going to say there's going to be at least 250 people there. We do have some signage being made for distance-wise, you know, that kind of stuff. Wear a mask is encouraged. Otherwise, for that number, to be honest, I don't know how we would keep under that number being, you know, technically a public beach or whatever, aside from blocking the entire beach off.
They had
and having
1,000 people at
attendance.
Black Beach last weekend. That's pretty tight quarters there, but 1,000 people.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring that up. I was just kind of more worried about, you know, I get what you're saying, Dave, that you want to stay in the parameters of everything. But I mean, there was 250 people standing outside Blue Water on Saturday. So
One more question. Will you have some marshals around the crowd to keep people where they belong?
Yes, I have talked to Pat Eliason. There will be 3 officers down there. There will also be some DNR guys and some Coast Guard guys out patrolling the water at the time of the event. So there should be between 5 or 6 enforcement people there to do that.
Can there be anyone assigned to monitoring the size of the group to make sure that we are staying within the suggested state guidelines?
Yeah, you know, Sally, it's, I think, impossible. We've made the point that the campground itself hosts up to 1,000 people on a weekend. If we, you know, do the math on 300 sites or so with an average of 2 or 3 per site, you know, we're looking at 600, 700, 800 people right here in the park that are going to go to this event, or let's say half of them do. The citizens themselves are going to be here. You know, I was there last year. I saw hundreds of people. So
Yes,
I think we need to be really careful here, because we are all saying we know there's going to be more than 250 people at this, and according to state safe, that is not a good idea. Now, I'm just putting that out there.
No, I
for you to decide. You know, and then I guess my other point, my other bureaucratic administrative point is the insurance, and that I'll let Justin speak to the sort of change of sponsor for the event, but I think we need to also nail down some insurance information. So if you could touch on that, Justin, as to what's changed this year versus last with the Grand Marais involvement.
Yeah, so this year has no Grand Marais involvement whatsoever. No bar involvement, no bar insurance, so to speak. Each person that is driving a snowmobile has their snowmobile insured. So if that snowmobile causes any damage, as i.e. rocks being slung up, run into a car, a boat, a truck, they personally have themselves covered. But as for an event or organization, there is no big insurance like there was last year. We took the bar out this year, and everybody wanted to keep it more low key and more personal, so to speak, instead of such a big event.
but the application does state that Grand Marais is the sponsor.
Yeah, and I had brought to Dave's attention, I think that was a few weeks ago, where Dave had asked about insurance, and I had mentioned that everybody was going to get individual insurance, and that I needed to change the permit name or name of the race to get rid of the bar.
Right. And does any of that affect the campground liability, Dave?
You know, I would say for an event, this would definitely trigger the need for event insurance by the host.
I agree.
From downtown.
I remember we had a sliding party when I was in high school, and one of our two sleds met at the bottom of the hill, and one of our people ended up with a concussion. And the fact that my dad sold the insurance was a good thing, except it hurt his loss ratio.
Yeah, you know, I ran this by City Hall, and the read is we would need that insurance from the host.
Yeah, and those insurance policies are not very expensive.
Everybody that I've talked to in town, no insurance companies in town offer special event insurance, so I would have to make some phone calls then and try to find somebody that would cover that.
One other question besides the insurance question, and that is, with several hundred people there, even though it's outside, is there been any discussion about whether people will be asked to wear masks?
I had touched on that a little bit earlier. We are in the process of making signs and signage that says, you know, masks aren't required, but they're recommended. Stuff like that, social distance, you know, the basic signs that you see around town. Stay 1 meter apart, so to speak. Otherwise, that's about as far as we have gotten on that aspect of it.
With that many people that close to the shore, they're going to be mighty small moose. It occurs to me it would be smart, at least if it's not going to be required, that they be made available, that somebody in town has a bunch of cheap masks that could be at the site for people who decided they wanted to protect themselves and others.
I have to be honest that this is honestly just a bunch of guys that are living paycheck to paycheck doing this. We honestly can't afford to buy a large amount of masks for 1,000 people to just use freely.
Well, I wasn't thinking we need 1,000. We might need several hundred, but anybody know what they cost?
You're going to have a lot of people, Steve, that are outside and they're not going to wear masks because they're outside. They're going to be grouped together with their families. And
I guess my only question would be: do you require masks at the campground?
No, we can't. I mean,
Okay, just curious.
Does anybody know what cheap masks cost?
They're $2 a piece at Holiday.
I've found that most people actually have their masks that come into town, go in the stores. I don't know. I've been volunteering at the trading post, and most people come in and they have their own masks. So I think if they're going to wear them, they're going to have them with them. I guess I would be more concerned with the insurance issue than.
You know, and further, if you dig further to stay safe, they require COVID preparedness plans for events.
Well,
But did we do that for the fireworks for 4th of July, Dave? Did we do any COVID preparedness for that? Because that campground was packed and that beach was packed.
You know, it wasn't anything we reviewed. It wasn't an application we reviewed. 4th of July fireworks, I'm not sure what that falls under as far as who had the say on that, but it wasn't
Right.
under our jurisdiction.
Okay. I mean, because it is a special event technically, but
If there aren't going to be masks, that makes the event insurance issue significant for you guys, because if somebody catches the infection, they'll look around for somebody to help them pay for it if they aren't insured.
well,
Let's prove where you catch it from. I mean, you know,
it's pretty difficult.
yeah. I think the biggest proof of liability insurance is probably the biggest thing. So if you can work on that, I think that'd be important. I think the city council is going to want to know that.
Yeah, I can work on that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had called around to everybody in town, but nobody insured stuff like that in town, so I hadn't made any other calls.
Okay.
Dave, with the requirement of the event insurance, and the description that he's given us, do you see any other reason for us not to move to approve it today?
Just the governor's order.
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned about how many people it would draw and going against what the governor is saying we should be doing.
Well, and Marais has been operating quite responsibly for the most part, following governor's orders for events. And so many of our traditional events are not happening because of that. So making an exception seems like something we need to look at carefully.
What does the governor's order require that we may not be doing?
The size of the event's got to be under 250 people.
At the moment.
Currently, yeah, under the current stay safe order, which has no expiration date. It's active throughout this state of emergency.
Yeah.
Okay, and how about the fact that we approved the music down in Harbor Park and there's a lot of people down there? Did we do anything different for that?
Is there masks available down at Harbor Park?
No, there wasn't. I mean, that was just we approved him to play music down there, but there's a lot of people down there.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing it up as example of things that, we've had going on. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we should all be treated equal, absolutely. I mean, I guess all I gotta say is, we can look into masks. Like just a bunch of us local guys that are going to be doing this, so we ain't got a ton of money to spend on stuff. And I know that all the riders already went and bought insurance on their snowmobiles because we were hoping that would be enough.
If you guys decide to buy masks to make available to the crowd, I'll throw $50 in.
Okay. Well, much appreciated. Yeah, in that sense, and then for the insurance wise, I would say I'm in Duluth right now. Once I get home, I'll start making some phone calls to out of town insurance places and see what I can find for special event insurance and see if it's something that we can pull together and afford.
I wonder if somebody at the city might know where you can get special event insurance.
I think most general agents have access to policies like that.
Yeah, I called Ben down at the state bank, and I talked to Donna in town, and I called. There was one more other place in town, and nobody did special event insurance. Is what they told me. In town.
I know the art colony always gets special event insurance when they've had Arts Fest in the past, but I can't tell you for sure where I thought it was the usual insurance carrier, but I don't know.
I honestly figured I thought it'd be easy to find some in town, but everybody said that they don't cover that.
Your first call might be to the art colony to see who they use.
Say,
Yeah, I can do
Dave.
that. I've actually worked with her quite a bit in the past on her little events that she's had downtown there in Harbor. So I can do that.
Dave, do you remember last year when the city council had to approve this, correct?
I do remember, Craig, that it was park board decision. I don't believe the city council was involved. They were involved with the helicopter rides.
Yeah, I'm trying to recollect that if the city attorney was asked about the insurance that the city has, if it covered this type of thing, because there's other events that go on within the city, and I don't know if the city, I'm not sure how that
Yeah, I don't recall.
went.
I know I didn't participate in city council decision making
Okay.
on this. I believe it was just in the hands of the park board. But
Okay.
but I did speak with the administrator this afternoon to prepare for this meeting, and the message was pretty loud and clear that the event host, i.e. the Justin and his team, would need to have it, that, you know, sort of $500,000 event insurance
The liability.
to be additionally insured, just like it reads on the back of the special event application.
Okay.
But, you know, you guys, I think you're meeting tomorrow night, right, Craig?
Correct.
Yeah, we could get that answer soon then.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Well, would anyone like to make a motion regarding this application?
I'll test the water. I move that we approve the application contingent upon it being finished at 5 o'clock on each of those days, and that the description that Justin gave us of how it's going to be operated, that it be included, and that event insurance of $500,000 liability insurance be obtained as part of the permission.
And did you want to say anything regarding the use of masks?
I think from what I hear, I think we're better off to treat it as something that will be optional, but available. As you know, you got at least $50 worth. Hopefully more.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Then we will have a roll call vote regarding this. Craig?
Aye.
Jennifer?
No.
Rita?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Sally? So ayes carried it. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, Sally, I didn't hear your vote.
I said no.
Okay, thanks.
3-2.
So,
Well, I get it. I get the motion. I get the definite contingency on event insurance. I think Justin's getting it too. So we'll work on that behind the scenes. And I think city council should weigh in tomorrow night, Craig, as well.
Yeah, I think they will. Yeah.
okay. Thank you, Justin.
No, thank you guys. So I just want to make sure I'm clear. We're pretty much approved. Otherwise, we need to come up with insurance, masks, kind of a little bit better dialogue or a plan for COVID protection, so to speak.
Yeah,
I think having availability of masks and encouraging it, rather just say whatever you want to do, but encouraging it, will remind people of the importance if this does come to pass.
Okay.
Because
And you'll want a sign telling people to be one moose apart.
what did you say, Steve? Remind
Yeah.
people what?
I said you'll want a sign, at least one sign, as people come in that encourages them to remain one moose apart if possible.
Yeah, we're at 4 signs total right now. We're going to put one out on the road, one on each, and then one pretty much in the middle. And then we have garbage cans, stuff like that, trash and whatnot, mask wise. And then we'll just set up something for masks, disperse them, and maybe charge before them if you want to buy them.
do a donation or something.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, that's a good idea. We don't want to be stepping on anybody's toes, so to speak. And I'll work on insurance this week, and hopefully I can get something figured out that doesn't cost $1 million.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul, the golf report.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, can you see me?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I guess we made it past the 4th of July weekend and had a good weekend. Basically, we're running things the same as we started out. We're window front operation, credit card only. and it seems to be going well. We're getting continuous play from people I haven't seen before. We're getting a lot of compliments on the course. We're getting good exposure, and so that's really helping us out. I think in general numbers, our membership is similar to last year. I think we might be down a couple of memberships there, but in general, our numbers are up. So business has been pretty good. And
Do you have any numbers to give us on the extent of the way that business is up?
let's see, talking to Kim, I think through the month of June, I think we were up about 7,000 there from the previous year.
That's great news.
And we didn't buy any extra golf carts. How are you doing with that?
Well, they seem to be hanging in there. Each one has its own personality, but they keep going, and people keep using them. And so far, it's been okay. It's obvious to me that we have to keep making improvements here, but so far, I think that the people that have been coming in, I think we're getting some exposure, and some of it might be because of the condition that Superior National's in too. But we're getting really good comments from our visitors, so that's I think that'll help us for promoting the course and play in the future. I think in general, golf, nationwide is up because there's just not that much to do. And that might be part of what we're experiencing too, but I definitely am noticing a difference in activity here. We've got, this year I've got the staff set up, basically everything's covered now. We've got people in different part-time modes. We have one full-time person at the till, and then a couple part-timers, and kind of the same situation with our outside crew too. So really happy with everything going on there so far this year. It's been working good.
Well, can I ask a question that was asked to me this weekend? I had some people that were going to go golf that have always golfed there, but they said it was $51.
For 18 holes?
Yeah, is that right?
15
holes with a cart.
Yes, with a
18 holes in a cart for one person is 51, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, and there's no discount at the campground any longer, correct? We did away with that.
Yeah, that's correct. I think we have something for if you're a city
resident.
City resident, there's a pretty substantial discount, like 15%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's been good. I don't think we've been taking a lot of heat over our fees, and the other thing that's different too is we're getting tee times. That last year, my first year, I was, people would just kind of come in and golf, and this year we're actually, we have a lot of tee times being made, which is kind of how it should be. But
yeah, that's right.
So it's actually, things are kind of working better up here as a result of what's going on for us,
Paul, for next month's meeting, do you think you could give us a kind of a half year report in terms of numbers and maybe something in writing that would compare this year and last year?
Yeah, we can do some graphs on some different things. I think it'd be interesting to see, the numbers are pretty easy as far as, season passes and daily rounds and things like that. The other things I think we could be looking at is, are we missing things by not opening up the clubhouse? Well, we're selling some, beverages and things like that to be consumed while they're on the course. But I haven't really looked at those numbers real hard yet. But I'm really not planning on opening up the building, while we're under this
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that. I just thought it would be good to have something on paper for the half year to see where we are and by numbers.
Sure, I can certainly have a comparable graph. Yep.
Can people purchase hats or shirts or any of that stuff right now?
They
A
sure
little bit.
can. I got one.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
We had to find a big one, but we found one. No.
That's good.
Any other questions for Paul?
We just got an update from the YMCA. The golf tournament planned for the end of the month has been postponed without a certain date in the fall, but possibly in the fall because they really enjoyed our course last July. But it was scheduled, late July, and it's not going to happen as planned.
I have another party that's looking to try to get a tournament going in September here.
Would that be open to everybody?
Yes, it would be.
Wonderful.
And so we're looking at that. I need to correspond with him. I don't think it's not real complicated. It's just we need a few more carts, and I think we can
Be
do.
sure to thank Dan for the park board for managing the golf leagues for the Benzingen this year. He has a bum leg, and he also, as I recall, was missing the camaraderie of the clubhouse. But notwithstanding those things, he came back to do the work of organizing those leagues, and we're really appreciative.
That's right. Yeah, that's a big part of what's going on here. League play is a big part of any golf club. So yeah, I'm glad that that's working out.
Any other questions for Paul?
When the season is over, Paul, could you put together a little letter to Dan for Sally to sign on behalf of the board saying thank you?
Certainly.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And we'll move to the city council report. Do you have anything that pertains to the park board, Craig?
I missed the last city council, but I did not see anything on there that pertained to the park board that I recall.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the park report. Dave.
Thank you, Sally. And hopefully everyone got the report earlier today. And we can just kind of walk right through it. We've got our summer off to a bang now that the June is in the bag, and it was surprisingly up. You can see the numbers here. We were closed to bathhouses, tenters, and new reservations for the first 2 weeks of June. It was very nice and quiet and very empty when it came to the out west. Overnight sites the first couple weeks of June were looking very empty. Once we opened up on June 15th to the tenters and the bathhouse service, we just basically started running full every night. The state parks haven't opened on either side of town. Judge Magny and Cascade are delaying opening. They're canceling folks in a bit of a last minute fashion. And so we're really in it right now with trying to meet that demand and those displaced guests from the regional parks that aren't open yet. And tents in particular are what really, we've never seen this type of demand. We've always been known as an RV park. We've got those lovely tent sites up in the woods, and they usually sit about half empty, even in July in a midday and on a midweek day, but they've been full every night. And a lot of that is state park guests. A lot of that is just straight demand for camping industry-wide, nationwide is seeing really big numbers because people feel safe outside. They feel safe in their own sleeping bag. And so a big movement right now to take a vacation in a car or a camper. We've been monitoring folks pretty closely. Bathhouse 2 has been closed. We haven't heard a peep about that. We still have Bathhouse 1 over here by the marina, Bathhouse 3 and 4 out west in the overnight lands. We've done a lot of work with signage and ventilation, and for the most part, it appears to be working. We haven't suffered any complaints, although there is a bit of non-compliance with face coverings inside the bathhouses. I'll be honest that we put up signs right on the door that says do your neighbor a favor, cover up if you're not brushing or showering. And every time I'm in the bathhouse, cleaning or working, I have the mask on, but I see most folks who don't. And so I'm the manager that reminds them to cover up, and they get the mask out of their pocket and they cover up.
How about a mask dispenser by the outhouse door that the people put a quarter or a dollar in and get a mask?
Yeah, we're kind of
make it easy for them to cooperate.
That's a great idea, Steve, but it's one thing to put into motion, or one thing we talk about, another thing to execute. I feel like I really have my hands full right now with just trying to do the basics, and so adding that type of convenience and amenity, I'll look into it. Masks are not cheap.
Well, like they have them in their pocket. They just don't want to wear them.
That's right, Rita. That's right. The issue is that they don't have them and that they're not available. It's that they're choosing not to wear them.
Right.
And so, we do the best we can. We remind them to wear them. But for the most part, the majority of people are so happy to be here. They're so thankful that we're open, that we just are really feeling appreciated, but really busy. There's no room for errors. Like when we're booking, the sites are so full right now that if we get a date off or they get a date off online, which is more the case because of the online booking machine, putting them in charge of their dates, it's very common. Almost every day, people think they're staying until the Sunday the 12th, and they're actually checking out on Saturday the 11th, and there's no sites available for Saturday the 11th. And that's been the harsh reality of being this full. Now we have scaled back. We've purposely closed marginally small sites in an attempt to decongest and give everybody a little more room. We've got some really tiny sites out there that we've closed down, that we've moved folks out of into non-reservable sites. We're not accepting large group reservations on the group sites. For tenting in particular, we know tents are hard on the bathhouses. So we do have some standing group reservations from, January through March. We're honoring those, although most are canceling because they're scouts and churches and other groups that aren't traveling. And when they cancel, we're keeping those group sites closed. We're also saying no to new groups of 10 or 20 or 30 or 50. And so that's helped a lot, especially out west in the Bathhouse 4, ball field area. That's where the group site is. We've kept the little bike trail tent sites closed that are on the east side here along the bike trail that don't allow you to park at them. They're basically in the backyards of the seasonals in this neighborhood. They've always been sort of an overflow tenting option that have been full on weekends in the past, but we probably could have been selling them full every night, and we purposely kept them closed. So we get it. Less is more. We say we're full, but we're actually only running at a 80 to 90% capacity purposely.
That's good to know. Hey,
Do you have any numbers to compare with last year? How we're from financial?
Yeah, so revenue-wise from June, we just got the report 8.8% up versus last year, about 20 grand in June. We made
how about year to date?
Year to date, we're down about 100.
100 grand?
Yes, because of mass cancellations in April and May. Those 2 months set us back. Year to date, we're down 108,000.
Does July look better than last year also, I guess, so I infer?
Yeah, if this trend continues, Steve, and we look for a 10% boost in July, that's another $30,000. There's not a lot of room to grow in July and August because it's always a full time. But with tent filling in and just every night full, I would expect the same trend for July and August, 5 to 10% up revenue wise, and that's going to yield $25,000, $30,000 per month. Once September and October come in, we had capacity, we have room to book in those months, and they're booked more so than last year, all the way through October 19th, is the MEA holiday that we typically stay open towards. And so now when people are calling and saying, we need to get in, and we say, we got something late September, early October, they take it. And so the predictive modeling is, this 100,000 we could make up if we can sustain this, if we can stay open. If there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts here, obviously, with the state and the resurgence and the first wave and the second wave, and like we're not going to get too excited yet, but the indicators are, you know, we've never been this busy. Staff's got to hold in there too. We've had excellent staff. They continue to be excellent. There's no grumblings that I'm aware of. And, you know, we're trying to make it easy. We've done our COVID preparedness planning with city council adopting our plan. We've trained that plan. We've talked about that plan a lot. We have weekly tailgate meetings around that plan and discover little areas that aren't working. And we work to fix that for the sake of our staff and their safety and efficiency. So we are hard at it.
Have you been able to keep up with the cleaning the bathhouses every couple hours during the day?
I think so, Sally. Not on a deep cleaning, but on a high touch disinfecting. We got Lysol in a can. It's an off brand, but it is effective. It's EPA certified, and it goes down first thing in the morning and at noon and at night. So we're not keeping a log. It's probably not every 2 hours, but it's multiple times a day. And then we are doing that deep clean, you know, 1 to 2 hours per bathhouse each day.
Nobody's gotten sick so far who's come to our park, right?
Oh, you better knock on wood, Steve. I wouldn't know if they were, or I guess I would, because I would hope they would be contact tracing, but no, I can't speak to that.
And probably a more significant issue would be who they were camping with rather than the fact that they were camping, but hard to say.
Yeah, you know, my read on this now that I find out more about contact tracing and those exposed with, like, you know, you have to be inside of 6 feet for, I think, 20 minutes or something to get the call. And I know my staff at least aren't in that risk factor with our guests. We're not spending 20 minutes inside of 6 feet with the guests. We're wearing masks if we are ever inside of 6 feet, and we're trying to avoid that at all costs. Like, everybody's very aware of the social distance rule or guideline and the mask, policy. So from our staff's perspective, I feel safer knowing that you need to spend considerable amount of time with an infected person, breathing that air and interacting with that person. And that, I just haven't found that to be the case for our type of business we do. We check them in, it's 5 minutes at the window. That's about all we see of them.
Dave, is it likely that the clinic would let you know if somebody went up there for treatment for that?
I don't know. I doubt it, Steve, unless we're like inside of that, you know, high risk exposure.
If you might consider calling the people at the clinic, that if they get folks who've come from the rec park, you'd like to know about that.
Yeah, I think HIPAA prevents them talking about it.
They don't have to name names. They just have to say somebody's here.
I'll look into it.
Thanks.
Dave, do you want to talk about the summer storage rates for the Canadians seasonal?
Yeah, thank you, Sally. Yeah, this has been a pretty, there's only, I think, 5 of them. And so just as the memo outlines, we've got these Canadian guests, they store on site. They pay a 12-month rate. It includes 6 months of using the camper, May to October, and then 6 months of storage, November to April. And of course, they're unable to cross the border and come down for the summer and use their camper and, you know, justify that $757 a month summer rate. And so the simple request is to consider a monthly or a summer storage rate, and it being either at the winter storage rate, which is, I think, $74 a month, or somewhere between that and $757. So it's,
How many Canadian seasonals do we have, Dave?
5 sites are affected. We have more Canadian seasonals, but some of them didn't store on site. So their site is available to rent and they're not having to pay for it.
And then there's some that move theirs up to Harriet's. Is that correct?
I don't believe that happened for any of them. There was some logistical, like, you know, we can't be there to make that happen was kind of the first read on that. Like, I suggested it in May, when we were looking for solutions, you know, they called me saying like, we're not going to be there this summer. What should we do? And I said, move your trailer off. And they're like, we can't get over the border. We can't deal with it. So then I said, well, we'll look into a summer storage rate.
So is something like $500 a month reasonable?
The exchange is terrible right now.
I was thinking of splitting the difference between the winter rate and the summer rate.
Well, it's already a really great rate. But I
The
think
74. Yeah,
No,
you know,
no.
74 feels like too little, and 757 is too much, and
I'm
like
saying even 57 is a great rate that they're getting, but I would have to go along with Sally at 500. I mean, I just don't. I think that seems like they're getting a break because we don't have to do it. We're just doing it to be kind.
right.
Well, and we can't use those sites for any other purpose, so
Yeah.
there needs to be some income generation from them.
Exactly.
I suspect that $250 a month will make them happier than where we are now by quite a bit.
I'll leave it up to you.
What do you think, Craig?
Well, that was Sally's suggestion of 500. That would be $257 a month reduction.
I was asking Craig what he thought.
Well, I was thinking, you know, you ask them to perhaps move their trailer. Is it a possibility that we move their trailer and store it somewhere else so those sites could be rented? Is that even feasible? I'm just, you know, I don't know. Are these permanent trailers? Have these been here for years? They have, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out. We have places we could store them over by the ballpark or whatever, and then move them back. But if we could come up with
and we're going to make a lot more than $757 a month on those spots because.
Well, I'm just thinking we could maximize our income out of them, but then again, it's site and they have rented it. Therefore, you know, if we're going to come up with a reasonable rate, then that's something we got to discuss. Otherwise, I was just thinking.
In most cases, it's a trailer and a whole bunch of other stuff. So then there's that liability of, okay, we move the stuff and stick under the trailer and it's a little bit more protected.
At that point, I would think they'd sign some waiver that we're not responsible. I mean, they're going to save a lot of money, and that's the goal.
Have you ever had somebody not ever come to their trailer in the season? Like just have a trailer here, they pay rent and storage, but they never show up in the summertime?
Yeah, Frank and Patty in the front row aren't coming.
What do you charge them then if they don't show up?
Full freight.
Okay.
Because the choice is theirs is kind of the logic here.
Right.
Like they're choosing not to come. They had the choice to come. The Canadians have said, and you know, truthfully, they can't come if they wanted to.
Right.
And that good point, Sally. That's steps and decks and planters and grills and lots of gear. We don't actually have space on site to relocate these to. The ball field lot gets full on the weekends, as does the boat launch area. So logistically, like moving these around, especially under our staff, is not possible. And the other local services to move are expensive, and
Are there other people besides Canadians that haven't been able to come? Because I know some that haven't been able to come due to medical reasons, and they have to stay near their physician, and they're not allowed to travel due to COVID. We're not giving them a break. There's several of those people. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, can we get backlash from that?
yeah, you know, there's a couple of those that have chosen not to come or have, you know, medically been advised not to come. They don't store on site is the magic of that. When they don't store on site, they get a COVID card, they get a year off, they don't pay for the summer, they get first right on that site next summer. A couple of them that do store on site have just paid the summer.
That's the one I'm wondering about. Yeah, just curious.
I think Sally's point about the liability, if we were to try to move trailers, is a very strong one. If we touch them, then we own any problems that they find when they come back. And I don't think we want to be in that place.
No, I didn't think we would move them. I just thought it would be an option that you would discuss with the owner of the trailer, that they would have to make arrangements for it to get moved, which means they'd have to contract with someone.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
moves.
And there is,
We wanted to do or not. I'm not saying we have to do that, but that's the process that would have to take if it was to be done. You know, otherwise we just figure out a rate that's comfortable, knowing that these people are under a situation that they can't, you know, overcome at this point. So, you know, but I think that the rate of, what are they paying now? $75 or something?
no, they're paying $757 a month for the summer
Oh, for
month.
full rent. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for full rent.
And that's 6 months worth, right?
Yeah.
That's from May to October.
Well, yeah, there's a break in May and October. Those are $100 less. It's $657 for those shoulder season months. But the whole season amounts to about $2,800 to $3,600, depending on how long they're in for. And if most, I think all of them are on non-prime sites, you know, lakeside view sites that require the 12-month, like $3,800, or sorry, $4,300 plan is like if you're on a site with a view, you have to pay a 12-month deal of $4,300. These trailers are on standard sites. They typically pay 3 months of $757, that being June, July, August, and then the other 9 months at $74, for a total 12-month bill of, you know, $2,800, give or change. So that
So you're looking at 21.5 in revenue.
Yeah,
Out of those 5 sites.
that's right. It's about a $10,000 deal, Craig. That's right.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, given the circumstances that we're in and that they're in, I feel cutting them some type of a break. It depends on what percent other people feel that would be fair. I mean, you know.
Yeah, and the people that are in the park took an increase.
What's that?
You know, I get the people that are in the park, you know, they pay an increase every year. So we, I mean, if we talk about 5 people, but it does total $10,000. So maybe we need to give them some break, but maybe not, you know, a huge break. Just
Sally had suggested $500. Is there any significant opposition to that number?
well, then we're saying $500 from May to October instead of $657 and $757.
Yes.
I think that's more than, I mean, I think it's fair. We don't have to do it. We're doing it to be kind to them because they don't have a choice. And,
Well, and we would like them to come back for the next 20 years too.
yeah,
And we still offer the, you know, call a local contractor to have it moved to a cheaper storage option.
They could have.
that's true.
Right.
They could store it at Harriet's and call the Grand Marais Towing, throw it up there.
Is
So,
there a motion that someone would like to make regarding this issue?
I heard one agreement. Did I hear 2 agreements? Then I'll make the motion if there's at least 2 people who think it's a good idea. Okay, I see another nod. In that case, I move that we reduce the 6 month of the summer charges to the 5 Canadian residents to the amount of $500 a month for each of those months without distinguishing between April and October and the other months.
exactly.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Yeah, go
Thank
ahead.
you, Jennifer. Is there any other discussion on this topic? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Craig?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Rita?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And I support it as well. Motion carried. Okay.
And we'll
moving
also
on
be
forward.
communicating, although that's part of the motion, but you'll be offering the option of storing it at less expense if they want to make that arrangement.
That's right, Steve.
Okay, terrific.
Okay. The 2021 booking season discussion.
It's back. It's back. The guests are here that were here in January, and they're wondering how's it going to go down this next January. And I'm saying the park board's going to decide tonight.
I still am for the 6 month in advance reservation to alleviate the pressure into January. If it could be worked out with the computer system, I do understand what you're saying with that, Dave.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Dave, the last time we talked about this, you and Sam were still kind of talking back and forth on it. Do you have some ideas on what you're feeling, the two of you, in terms of how to approach this?
Yeah, so, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be, everybody wins their best site. And we're trying to minimize the pain. We're trying to decongest that first day. That opening day is obviously not working, the January 2nd. It didn't work. It didn't work with booking online. It actually made it worse. So spread it out. We like the 6 months plan. We first talked about this in February with a rolling date forward, kind of a state park system where, you can book today, 6 months from now,
Right.
tomorrow, a new day to book. The more you look into that, the more it kind of spreads out those crazy days. And suddenly we're going to have 15 of them for every holiday weekend and event. And people sort of cheating the dates and booking on a Tuesday through Sunday to make sure they get that Friday, Saturday. And I think option 2 is no longer our favorite, option 3, which was that idea of a rolling forward ahead of the current day. We now like option 2. And this was, I think, something we talked about with other national parks. They're very in demand. They go month to month. They open all dates for a month at the start of a month, 6 months ahead. Mm-hmm. Then you effectively have 4 crazy days beginning in December. January, February, March become the booking, those first weeks of those months become very busy. But we feel like it would minimize that cheating. We'd still allow for booking the end of June through the 4th of July, starting in December. So the wrap around at the end of each month would still become a way to book July 4th early. But if we go with some pretty stiff fines for canceling or changing your dates,
I agree.
I feel like we can manage that, or at least, capitalize on that. And we like option 2.
Okay.
So it's still going to alleviate the pressure in the office.
Yeah.
Which is the goal.
It'll still be really intense on January.
Yeah.
And here's a little bit of trouble. January 1st is a paid holiday. So maybe July doesn't open till January 2nd or the first business day in January, because sometimes the first falls on a Saturday and then we're actually not in the book until Monday the 3rd.
But could they book online?
They could book online. That good point, Sally. That's right.
But it wouldn't work, Dave, say I want to go camping September 15th. And I count back the 6 months, and I know that's when I can make my reservation. It wouldn't work that way?
It would, yeah. And it would be, what is that? March.
Yeah.
Is 6
So
months.
March 15th, I could make my reservation for September 15th.
No, not so much, Rita. That was option 3. That was the idea that the date, and the month are moving forward each day. But option 2 is simply a 1 month at a time block, so that all of September opens up on March 1st.
Oh,
so
wow.
you could book September 15th starting March 1st.
And the reason, say that again, the reason why 3 wasn't a good option for the office was why?
It maybe creates more chaotic days in the booking calendar, so that when it's 4th of July, that's really crazy. When it's art fair, that's really crazy. When it's fishermen's, that's really crazy. When it's Labor Day, it kind of intensifies the demand around busy weekends and busy holidays, and makes for, I think, more opportunity to game the system and start on a Tuesday through Sunday and then call back and cancel Tuesday through Thursday. And that sort of, week in and week out cheating would become more prevalent, versus if you open all the dates for the month, it should fill in accordingly. Like the busy weekends of that month will book first.
Right.
But you won't have to worry about not being able to book the 10th for Art Festival because everybody already snapped it up on the 7th.
Gotcha. Okay. So I want to camp September 15th. I can call March 1st.
Right.
6 months prior to that month. Okay. That makes sense. And then this stiff penalty, what is that like? What were you looking at for that?
No, I have nothing set yet. We like hundreds of dollars is what we're throwing out, like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
a lot of parks take kind of a full payment or a bigger chunk than the $40 deposit that we currently do. They,
Yes.
you know, you got to pay half, and if it's a $500 stay, you know, for a week, you got $250 down, and that could be non-refundable. Or
I
like,
agree.
you know, or if you're doing date changing, you know, it's going to be $100 so that you're not going to drop your 2 nights that would have only cost you $80 anyway.
Right. I agree. I think that most parks have gone to that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sounds good. And while, yes, the beginning of a month is going to have a few busy days, it's not going to be that competition of opening up a whole year's worth of people calling and people shutting down the system. So it should be much more manageable in terms of staff time as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, no, we like to. The only other nuance then would be setting the rates, you know, so that May would start to book in November. Typically, we start to talk about rates in, you know, September, and then we decide by November. So this isn't a big change. We can just maybe start talking about rates in August and decide by September.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or sorry, October. Yeah. I don't see that as an issue where we can just be more aggressive in the, you know, we usually take 2 or 3 meetings to decide rates. We could do that in a meeting or 2 and be, you know, so that by November 1st, we have next year's rates.
Right.
Well, I make a motion
you
that
want-
that's what we do. We pass number 2.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second, with the understanding that Dave will come back to us sometime before we adopt next year's rates with regard to how we're going to handle the penalties.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. We'll craft a policy very soon that I'll share with you and everyone else.
That's fine.
Is there any other discussion?
I did.
Okay. Hearing no other discussion, we'll have a roll call vote. Craig?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Rita?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And I support it as well. Okay. Is there anything else for the good of the cause?
Yes, you should tell Patrick that I have 2 pictures of him on my screen.
I do
I
too.
do it well.
And I want to say that this is going to be my last meeting. I'm going to have to resign because my house is almost finished. So I'll be moving up to Devil Track Lake in August or September. So,
Well, that's good for you, but sad for us.
yep. So,
Congratulations.
When I saw your sell and swap garage sale, I thought it might be coming this meeting.
yep.
Well, Jennifer, thank you for all your years of service. Thank you, Jennifer, for really being there for us.
Okay.
But, you know, you have to find so
A
the
replacement.
person leaving has to find a replacement.
I love that. I love that.
We'll deal with it, Jennifer. Congratulations
Okay.
on the move.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thank you for
Are
the
we
meeting.
adjourned?
I think so. We are adjourned.
Very good. Good night.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Right now.